Hello, fourth graders. Finally, a new video. We have been talking a lot about fractions and parts, and you guys have gotten so good at it, so I'm very proud of you. But we are going to move into decimals. Now, decimals is not a completely new thing to you. In fact, if you've ever bought anything at a store, you've used decimals already. And decimals are very, very, very similar to fractions. That's why we learn all about fractions first, and then we move into the decimals. So, for instance, I'm going to draw a decimal on the board, and we'll start from there. The first thing that you should know about a decimal is that it always has to have a point. This point is called the decimal point. Makes a lot of sense. Now, just like any real number that we read, the numbers before the decimal point, any that we have read up to this point before, numbers before the decimal point are whole numbers. So this is 1. It means I have 1 of something. 1 banana, 1 Jolly Rancher. But all the numbers after the decimal point are parts, just like a fraction. They are all parts. This very first spot right after the decimal point is called the tenths place. All right. It's called the tenths place. Okay, that means that if I cut my whole into 10 pieces, whatever number I have here is like the numerator of my fraction. So for instance, just this part that's underlined would be equal to this fraction. I have one part, it's cut into 10 pieces. So a decimal is like a fraction, but this first number is always has a denominator of 10. Always, always, always. And then this second number, the 2 in this case, always has a denominator of 100. Counts as 100 pieces. So for instance, this right here would be 2 over 100, just the underlying number, okay? But in a decimal, you have to take all the numbers before it. So together, both of those circled numbers would be 12 pieces that I have out of 100. So a decimal is just like a fraction, except the first one's always the 10, the second one's always the 100. You got to add them together, put them together. It's really pretty easy, but let's do some practice to make sure that we really got this decimal stuff down. Okay, so if I have a circle, we're looking at the fraction, and I am filling in half of it here. That means my fraction would be 1 over 2. I have one piece, it takes 2 to get the whole. The problem with this, if we want to get to a decimal, is that we would actually need it to be 10. And we've talked about equivalent fractions before. So I know the rule to get from 2 to 10, I would have to multiply by 5. And whatever I do on the bottom, I have to do on the top to make it equivalent. So 1/2, an equivalent fraction to 1/2, would be 5/10. 5/10 as a decimal would look like this. We have 0 wholes, gotta have that decimal point in there. 5/10. Okay? 5/10. That's it. 5/10. You gotta make sure that you have your fraction with a denominator of 10 to be able to add into that. On your math book pages today, you're going to see some things cut into 10 pieces. So I'm going to do my best to draw a circle cut into 10 pieces. Now, I know that that is not exact, but that's not what we're looking for here for math. So let's fill in 3 of these pieces. When I have 3 of those pieces filled in, out of 10, my fraction would be 3/10. I don't have a whole yet, so my decimal would be 0, decimal point, 3, and that's the tenths place. That very first one is the tenths place. So 3/10 And you would say this decimal the same exact way as you would say the fraction. This decimal is 3/10. I want us to get away from saying 0.3. I might make a mistake sometimes and might accidentally say that, but this is 3/10. And it makes converting back and forth really easy. I'm gonna write some decimals, just some decimals, and I'm gonna say how to say them. So for instance, we have 0 wholes. That's what the number before the decimal point means. I have 0 of something, but I have, this goes out to the hundreds place. So this decimal is 32/100ths. Oh, I just said it the same way I would write the fraction. So this is equal to 32/100ths. Pretty nice, right? Let's do another one. 0 wholes. Let's do 67/100ths. This fraction is 67/100ths because it goes out to the 100ths place. So 67/100ths as a fraction, I just said it. I just gotta write it down now. 67/100ths. So a decimal is just like a fraction. You're cutting the pieces down. You just gotta remember which one it is. The first place is the tenths. The second place is the hundredths. Let's do one more, but this time let's do one with just a tenth, just so I can show you. 0 wholes, and let's do 9/10. It does not go out to the hundreds, it only goes out one place, so that's the 10th place. So this would be 9/10. Decimals we're gonna be working on the next few days. So if you don't quite get it today, that is okay, but you will get there. Great job, everybody. See you next time.